over 80% of convenience and fuel sites in the United States are owned by what we are terming small operators. And their biggest challenge is having access to the resources, skills, and knowledge base that the big boys have.
Hi, I'm Keith Reed, owner and operator of Rack to Retail, where we provide content for retailers and marketers in the fuel side and the technology that they use. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about the Vision Group Network, its latest meeting, which covered small operators. And with me today are Roy Strasburger and Myra Kressner. A lot of folks in the audience probably know both of these individuals. They've been around the industry for a while and have an excellent reputation, and they're the founders of the Vision Group. Roy, Myra, how are you doing today?
Good.
Very well. Thanks for having us, Keith.
Well, thanks for being here. I've worked with Roy at Fuels Market News for years, and I've known Myra going back to the NPN days when she was at our competitor CSP, and I have a great deal of respect for both. And Roy's one of the more knowledgeable individuals, certainly when you get into retail operations. So I suppose we can start. Tell us a little bit more about yourselves, and then tell us a little bit more about the Visions Group.
Thanks. I'll start off, Keith. Yes, you mentioned that I've known you, Keith, from your days at NPN, from my days at CSP, being in the industry for about 40 years, and really starting in the media world with CSP, which then was sold in 2012 to then Winsight and is now Informa. So I've been very proud to be a part of the convenience and fuel marketing industry for those 40 years now, and then started my consulting company, Kressner Strategy Group, about 15 years ago. And then when the pandemic started in 2020, I had actually, Kressner Strategy Group was working with Roy and Eva Strasburger and their company, Strass Global, and we found that there was certainly a need to have communication during the pandemic in 2020. And so that really is the catalyst of how the Vision Group Network started, really as an experiment of the Vision Group, which was bringing just very smart people together virtually every other month on a Friday afternoon. And we did that for a year and a half until starting to come out of the pandemic. And folks said, this has been so valuable to us, you need to really continue it and formalize it and create more vision groups. And so that's how the concept of the Vision Group Network started. Roy, would you talk a little bit about yourself?
Oh, absolutely. Keith, thanks again for having us today. It's really exciting to see your new program and seeing everything taking off, so congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yes, my name is Roy Strasburger. I am the CEO of Strass Global, which is a retail consulting group. Also the president of Compliance Safe, which is a document management software program that retailers use to keep up with permits and licenses. I grew up in the retail business and have been actively involved in convenience and fuel retailing for about 40 years. As Myra said, we had been working together right before the pandemic, and up to that time, I and my family owned and operated about 150 convenience stores in Texas. We were also involved in the management and supervision of about 6,000 sites in 33 countries. So we've had a lot of experience in what makes retail work and what doesn't work in retail. And what's really been interesting is how are different, not just from country to country, but from region to region and from city to city, even in the United States. So one of the things about the Vision Group, which, as Myra said, was co-founded by her, myself, and my wife, Eva Strasburger, was the whole idea of sharing information and helping other retailers become better retailers. And as we'll talk more about this today, and Myra will talk about a little bit more about our different vision groups, we have been expanding to try to include as many different disciplines and parts of retailing as possible. And one of the key things that we do in following with our motto of sharing today to shape tomorrow is to provide free vision reports to the public. And I'll let Myra talk a little bit more about that and how that came about.
Sure. So as Roy and I both said in our introduction of the Vision Group Network, it really developed organically, that we found that the need for this kind of regular communication, and we really do find that the virtual meetings and the groups that each of our members makes the commitment to participate in. So these are not webinars that are just one-off. So whether it's our Convenience Leaders Vision Group, which is made up of C-suite operators that range from very large companies to small companies, but it is that C-suite CEO, COO who has said, yeah, I want to be a part of this group where I'm going to learn and share as well, with this continuity of engagement and networking. So the Convenience Leaders Group started in 2022, and then shortly after that, we started a Convenience Technology Group with CIOs and CTOs that obviously are looking at everything in technology, from cybersecurity, of course, to integrating systems, to, of course, now AI, and then started a Convenience Food Service Group, which again came from the industry. Folks said to us, we want to start a convenience food service to really help elevate food service in the convenience industry. So again, it's seeing what the needs are and having that ability to bring folks together to exchange among themselves. And then, as Roy said, to share that information through the digital vision report, which is then made available to everyone in the industry. And then started a global global convenience vision group, and looking at EV charging. And I know, Keith, you can certainly talk to that as well, that we've said we needed to bring in the entire ecosystem of EV charging. So it is certainly the convenience petroleum marketers, but as well as hospitality and municipalities and multi-unit family housing, all of those things. As we see the need, that's how we develop it. And Car Wash is our newest product. And I think we'll spend a little bit more time today talking about the Small Operators Vision Group, which has been, since I've been in the industry, and I know that Keith, you know this, and certainly Roy does, has been talked about, and in so many different ways, trying to engage the small operators or the independents. And we define our group as 15, between 1 to 15, and said, let's have this group that is dedicated with the continuity and the engagement of the virtual meetings once a quarter.
The smaller operators really need the type of information and the type of knowledge that can be provided by outside experts, more than the larger players. Everybody has challenges. There's certainly plenty of challenges you get into when you become a giant company and trying to get things done. But it's interesting that with technology out there today, a smaller operator, and with the right model and the right focus, a smaller operator can very easily compete against larger players in the market at a level they couldn't before. But again, it gets down to really having access to the insight and the best practices and the knowledge of their peers and others in the industry to really be able to do
Well, you're right, Keith. And one of the things you really try to stress is that the word small and small operators means number of locations, not ambition or their skill sets. And the great challenge for smaller operators is that you have to do everything right every time, because with the larger companies, there's a lot of things that could be solved if you can throw money at it. And these smaller operators don't have those type of resources, so they have to be sure that what they do is cost effective, that it is efficient, and that it has an impact on their business. And as you alluded to, over 80% of convenience and fuel sites in the United States are owned by what we are terming small operators. And their biggest challenge is having access to the resources, skills, and knowledge base that the big boys have. And that's what we are specifically trying to do with the Small Operators Vision Group, is to provide that to folks. And we every meeting, we put out the vision report, which has a recap of what we talked about. The vision report is free to download from our website at vgnsharing.com. And one of the things that makes us unique in the world of conferences and is that with most meetings, at best, you might get a copy of somebody's presentation that happened. But what we do is we provide a recap of the meeting in the vision report. We also provide the actual presentation deck that our subject matter expert provides. We provide a video of their presentation, so you actually get to hear what they were saying about their deck. And we make the transcript of the meeting available to people so they can actually see what people said. And if you recognize an operator whose business is similar to yours, you can follow what they say and what their thoughts are. So all of this is made available to other operators for free, as I've mentioned. And it's really about trying to help a rising tide lift all boats to become the best operators they can become.
I believe for this meeting, and help me with the last name here, your subject matter expert in the meeting was Dr. Tom Wyandry. Is that how you pronounce it, or did I just totally butcher the last name?
Wynandy. Wynandy.
You get to a point you just say
Dr. Tom.
So it's
Yes.
yeah. But he's the principal research economist at Upside. Upside's a loyalty provider. They're a network model, not necessarily an in-house single site type of situation. They have, I think, for some of the data they provided here, about 23,000 convenience stores, 25 months of data. And I guess we can start in some of the things that he pointed out from that. With the current economic situation, high fuel prices, some general inflation, as you might expect, it's been an interesting mixed bag. There's more visits to a retail site because people aren't just filling it up, they're coming back, getting $5 here, $10 there. I'm dating myself when I say $5 here, $10 there. Back to when I was in a situation where I would spend $5 here, $10 there, probably $20 here, $15 there. And, the price, they're going into the store more frequently, but the total spend is down in general. So could you talk a little bit about that? Also, he brought up some discrepancies between the traditional bread and butter kind of blue-collar male type of customer and the more affluent customers.
One of the things that Dr. Tom was talking about is, as you've mentioned, first of all, that there's more transactions, but each transaction is a little bit smaller. And for a smaller operator, that's a really important distinction, because if you start thinking purely about the number of people that are coming through your doors and think your business is going up, that's actually not what's actually happening here. And so one of the key takeaways of what we were talking about is that you've really got to focus on size of transaction and your total gross profit dollars that are coming in, because that's really what drives your business. It's not the number of sales that you make, but what your total gross profit dollars are when they come in, so that you can understand how that is working and how your business is growing. And the other point that he mentioned, which you also brought up, is that it is a K-shaped economy. Basically, the people in the higher income brackets are doing relatively well, and that their spending is actually going up. Whereas those who are in the lower economic ranges, their total overall spending is being much more conservatively managed, and in many cases is going down a little bit, certainly on the convenience store side of it. So it's a very interesting aspect. We actually have one of our members who said that he has two stores. One is in a very affluent area and one is in a lower demographic area. And the people in the affluent area are still buying and sales are going up and things are going well. And in the lower demographic area, the sales have gone down. He can really see the difference in the K-shaped economy.
I think one of your retail members, Dennis McCartney, who's the director of operations at Land Hope Farms, he raised an interesting distinction, and I think you had raised channel shifting at some point earlier in that conversation as well, that he's seeing some of the customers shifting over to doing some of their purchasing at Walmart. And I guess the question on that, it makes sense if every penny counts, which I've certainly been there when every penny has counted. But I guess the question for you, Roy, is do you see any permanent shift out of this, or when the fuel prices drop and there's more income available?
People are going to shift their patterns back. It's going to be a lag is when people start feeling better about the economy. It'll take a little while after that for the shift to come back into the convenience stores. But basically what we sell in the convenience store is time. It's fast in, fast out. It has a select group of items that you want, you know where it is and how to buy it. And as the economy becomes more difficult for people, they make their choices much, much more carefully. And so Walmart and grocery stores, to an extent, become more of a shopping pattern because not only are they looking for lower prices, but they're making a wider range of buying products than you can get in a convenience store. So they're also getting their food and their fresh fruit and all the things that you don't typically find in a convenience store to make it more of a one-stop shopping opportunity. And I think that when people are feeling more secure in their financial situation, convenience stores sales will start coming back up because we are convenient. We are on the way. And as you stop to either get your gasoline or to buy your coffee in the morning, you're going to be buying something else to go with it. So I think this is a temporary category shift, but it will lag behind people feeling better about the economy.
One interesting thing that caught me a bit by surprise, not related to the economy at all, is McKinley also noted that the GLP1 drugs, for those unfamiliar, which is hard to imagine, there are many of you out there now because it's become such a phenomenon, the weight loss drugs. He noted that there seems to be a shift in the in-store basket and that consumers using those drugs are moving away from salty snacks and similar offers to protein and what would be considered higher quality food offerings. And
that's been a discussion, quite honestly, for 2 or 3 years now in probably every one of our vision groups. And you're right, Keith, some have been more aware of it than others, but right now it's right there in the middle.
And some other applications of this, if you're not familiar with the GLP-1 situation, is that it's not purely about category management and what kind of products people are buying. It's the effect on existing categories because people don't drink as much when they're on these, so alcohol sales tend to go down a bit. People, as you mentioned, people are much more selective about the types of food that they're buying. They tend to go much more protein heavy. And since they're not eating as much, they're much more selective about what they want to eat. But one of the big ramifications that we've been seeing in the convenience area is portion size, especially in the food service area. So people are wanting smaller meals when they buy something from a store. And so is there an opportunity to be marketing a reduced size plate at a lower price point, but at the same gross profit dollars, that will attract the people who are looking for a specific meal or specific meal options. So it's a wide-ranging and huge impact on the convenience and grocery industry in general.
Yeah. To just say one more comment on that, I think one of our retailers at one of our groups said that at the same time, the kinds of products that they are selling are actually a higher margin product.
Right.
So there's definitely a profitability category management story to tell, whether it is the smaller portion at a smaller price or other packaged products that actually do have a higher margin and gross profit. So that's definitely another way to look at it as well.
And one last comment on this before we move on is that GLP-1s are lifetime drugs. Basically, if you come off a GLP-1, there's a 97% chance that you're going to put the weight back on that you had lost while you were on that. So a combination of people being on this for an extremely extended period of time and eventually the price of the drugs coming down so it's affordable to a wider base of people. This is not a trend. This is an actual shift in the way that consumers are going to behave. I think this is a generational shift that it will be around for decades.
Dr. Tom did comment on loyalty, and from Upside, that's obviously in his wheelhouse, and noted that 86% of shoppers said loyalty programs are important to them. Only 38% of convenience store shoppers and 49% fuel shoppers reported regularly using one. Now,
one of the things that has come up in loyalty programs with the SOVG is how to have an effective loyalty program when you only have a limited number of stores, and what is a cost-effective way of approaching that. So one of the things that we are going to be exploring over the next one of the future SOVG meetings is right-sizing loyalty programs for people with 15 or fewer sites, because you can't live by a punch card alone. You need to have something more to that, because your loyalty program is competing with other people's loyalty programs. It's how do you reward that, and how do you get the most out of it without having a huge marketing department or analytical staff to back you up in doing that. So I think that's going to be a really big topic that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, yes, all of our operators talked about that, and as well as our Verifone, who is the ally supporter member in the Small Operators Vision Group. We'll be exploring more about that as well.
Is there anything else that came up you'd like to discuss before we close out here relative to the meeting? Or
I'm gonna make a couple of comments, and then I'll let Myra finish it up. But this is probably stating the obvious, but smaller operators are their own niche, and they have their own niche problems. And because that is what we're trying to address as the SOVG goes to engage people from different regions. It's basically different size companies from 1 to 15 stores across the country who all have their own challenges in what they're trying to do. And some of the common topics that they really want to talk about that we're going to be exploring is how to deal with suppliers. The supplier community, especially the broad line or the people who carry multiple lines of products, are really having a hard time meeting the needs of smaller operators. And they feel like they miss out on trendy products, fads that go through, because by the time it gets to them, after it's been to the big retailing chains, the trend is past. And so how do they get products that their customers want faster? And a lot of them are going to DSD vendors that operate on a door-to-door base, and quite a few of them are going straight to the manufacturers to try to get products in. But then once again, how do you do that with a sufficient purchase order that's large enough to keep a manufacturer engaged in trying to do that? So distributor slash supplier relationships is something I think is going to be a very rich vein for us to explore with the SOVG. And Chris Banbury, who is one of our retail members, was talking about regulation and how federal and state regulations on products that he's selling is very difficult. And part of that aspect of it is that a smaller retailer has more to lose if they get sideways with a regulatory issue, and SNAP being a very important part of that at the moment. The new SNAP and what we would used to call food stamps. The SNAP benefits have different requirements, which are really tough for a small operator to meet based upon the type and variety of products it's supposed to carry. And that can be a very large part of their client base, especially if they only have one or two stores. And I think the other thing that we're really going to want to talk about is how these operators are creating a personal relationship with their customers and developing something that goes beyond loyalty programs, but actually being part of the community and being involved with organizations and neighborhood associations. So I think there's a whole lot of things that we're going to be able to talk about, and Myra may want to add a little bit more color to that or a couple more topics, but I'm really excited about SOVG.
Yeah, I don't know that there's much more that I can add other than that certainly the SOVG, all of the members are very excited about being part of this vision group and having the platform for them to share the information and to learn from others as well. So there is a real excitement from them on being a part of this, and all of the topics that we've just addressed, from loyalty to the distribution to engaging with their customers, certainly to training, all of the things that every operator has to deal with, but they do have their unique needs, and find that being part of this group is a great way for them to share among themselves as really pride in being part of something bigger as well, in that we're now sharing this information more broadly with the rest of the industry. And I know that Vision Group Network is very proud of that as well.
So Keith, my final closing comment is going to be, if one of your listeners has some topics or subjects that they want to talk about and are a small operator or consider themselves to be a small operator, that they certainly can contact you to let you know what kind of feedback that they may have, and you'll pass it on to us, I'm sure. And then also you can contact the Vision Group Network, once again through vgnsharing.com. And you can also find our library of over 75 different vision reports on a wide range of subjects for free for download at vgnsharing.com, because that is what we're here about, is try to help provide more information and more education to folks. So thank you, Keith, for giving us the opportunity to get our message out.
Yeah, thanks to both of you as well. And I'll certainly put links in the description so they can get there. And again, feel free to contact me either through my website, which will also be in the description, or through LinkedIn. And again, thank you very much. Look forward to seeing what's happening with not only the small operators group, but the other groups you're involved with. And if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. It'll help the channel. And it'll, if you hit the bell, click the bell as well, you'll be notified. But you can also, when new content's out, but I have a variety of newsletters as well that'll notify you of that. So again, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Good luck with Rack to Retail. I hope it goes really well.